Let's set the ball rolling with you giving us an assessment of infrastructural development in Nigeria. From your area of expertise, you've embarked on several projects over the years. Talk to us about your assessment of infrastructural development in Nigeria, most importantly when it comes to the area of research and development.
Okay, in the area of infrastructural development, we haven't done very well over the last 60 plus years. We've had starts and stops in certain areas like roads construction, but there hasn't been a holistic plan to really move the country, from third world to probably first world infrastructure. And this is because of various reasons, mostly no political will to do the right thing. So Nigeria as a country has suffered immensely from this lack of foresight in doing the needful at that time, when it was even cheaper. I hope you can hear me.
Very well. We're with you, sir. Please go ahead.
Well, yeah. So we have a lot of catching up to do, right? And it boils down to leadership having the political will, as I mentioned earlier, to drive infrastructure development in all sectors. Right now, it's lacking. I could give you an example. In power, we're doing around 3,000 megawatts. I won't talk about America, what they generate, but in India, or no, let's go to Pakistan, which is similar to Nigeria. They got independence at the same time as Nigeria in the 60s. In one sector alone, they are doing 7,000 megawatts. That's in wind, right? So that's renewable energy. If Pakistan could generate 7,000 in using only one of the renewables, instead of hydro, they're just looking at wind for now. That sector generates 7,000. It shows that we haven't even started. Are you with me? So it's really boils down to leadership, having that political will to drive this development in all sectors. Right. Thank you.
Okay, let's look at the impact of research on cost effectiveness and efficiency of some infrastructure projects that we have in Nigeria. In what way would research ensure that? And what are the key areas that we should be looking at as it concerns research and infrastructure?
Research is very important. You see, nothing really is done without research, right? Because research is what drives industry. It drives the products, it drives the processes you have in place. It drives improvement in those products and processes. So research is very important. Unfortunately, we don't take it as important as it should be. Now, when it comes to research, really R&D, research and development, which is R&D, short form R&D, it's really done in universities. There's a lot of funding coming from the private sector and public sector to finance these R&Ds, right? So that the universities come up with better solutions and processes, right, for what you're trying to achieve. The last caller was talking about agriculture. It's in those institutions, I should say, that you of learning, that a lot of research is done in how to improve seedlings and general yields in agriculture. So we need to take it more seriously. In terms of infrastructural development, the research is not as much as if it was to do with industry. Because when you're talking about research, really, and development, you're really talking about how you can improve on a particular product. You understand? Like, for instance, if you manufacture toothpaste, how can we make toothpaste better? So you do a lot of research and do something like that. But if you're talking about building an airport or a power station, what exactly is research and development you're going to do? It's more of a feasible, you're looking more into, is it feasible what you're trying to do? And how best to go about that project? Because most of those things are not produced here. In other words, if you are building something, you import most of the materials for the plant, like the turbines. So how the research and development for turbines will not really apply, if you know what I mean. What will apply is how best to use the resources available to achieve what you want to achieve. Thank you.
All right, let's look at the area of financing. It has been a serious challenge, and I would like you to talk to us your experience when it comes to the issue of infrastructural development, because to tailor data or research towards infrastructural development, funding is critical. How can this be achieved to ensure that we have proper research and development in that sector, taking into consideration the issue of funding?
Sorry, could you say that again? Funding for the research and development sector, or funding for a particular funding projects? I'm a bit confused. What could you say?
Okay, I made reference to funding of research in order to be able to facilitate the development of infrastructural projects.
Okay, I get you. You see, it all boils down to governments investing, right, in this sector for now. The private sector can get involved, like companies, maybe the big players, maybe like in telecoms, could fund something in a university, and maybe to improve one of their processes or what have you, right? But for now, in a developing nation, most things are driven by government, right? They take the lead, and there has to be sincerity. So if the funding is made available, right, the universities then can do the necessary work that will achieve the results, right? So funding is very important. However, right now it's minimal. There's no funding. Most things are imported. The infrastructure blueprint in Nigeria is very poor, so we don't have that. So it's what I'm trying to say is that we're trying to solve the problem from starting from the middle, right? You can't get into R&D without first having leaders who are sincere and have the vision of what they want to achieve. Because if the R&D is done and nobody touches it, then it's just a waste of time. So you have to have leaders that are visionary and are sincere, and then they put the necessary funding and backing into getting it done. Let me give you an example. In America today, I'm talking about the fire sector now. In America today, one of the states or one of the cities in America has 255 fire stations. We talked about power initially, comparing our total generation with what was done in Pakistan. In Nigeria today, in America today, in New York City, they have 255 fire stations. In Lagos, the mega city of Nigeria, they have 19, right? Hello, are you listening?
Yeah, we're with you.
That's less than 20%. Less than 20%, right? Less than 20% of what New York City has, but we have a larger population than New York, right? Now, who exactly is going to build these stations? If it's too expensive to build, government will contract, do the necessary work by contracting the universities, the research and development to find cheaper ways to build power stations and equip them with equipment being assembled in Nigeria, right? That is not even being done. Everything is imported from China. Are you with me? So we haven't even started, government, what we should really do is, have somebody, hello? I got cut off. Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Hello? Yes, what we really should do
is invite
somebody from government to explain. Okay, you also invite somebody in government to explain why the funding and the wherewithal is not there to move the R&D forward so that we can get the economic benefits of it. Are you with me? Because it's not being done. Right? In the 60s, you had, let me just go back to agriculture, which was what we were talking about initially, or earlier. You had the IIT in Ibadan set up, right? I think it was under Gowon, right? And the foreigners are still there till today. That's an institute that is funded also by certain Western governments as well. They get some funding from them to help Nigeria grow effective yields in agriculture. What are we doing? Nobody is helping. And like I said earlier, it's government who is the biggest funder. So they should drive it. But they're not doing that because we don't have those who are visionary right there, right, in government right now. So we were just dilly-dallying, going back and forth, right? And it's mostly talk. They don't walk the talk. They just talk, and nothing is being done. That is why we are where we are. It's not an accident. Nigeria finds itself with this deficient infrastructural development compared with the Asian tigers and other countries. Thank you.
Okay, but some of the areas for development that you talked about, they seem to be projects that will need lots of technology and lots of research. But let's look at some low-hanging fruits, so to speak, that Nigeria can look at. For instance, the issue of clean water and sanitation, particularly when we talk about clean water. Can we find, or can we have local research that deals with that?
Yes.
Access
That's a very
to clean
good
water.
question.
Access to clean water.
Yes, we can. Yes, you can. You see, Nigeria is blessed with a lot of intelligent people, right? But unfortunately, most of them, their spirits have been killed. The one I'm talking about now is in the universities. So the experts that could do the research and come up with technologies and get the funding to do this, because it's not cheap. There'll be a lot of trials and errors going on to get a commercially viable technology out, say, for instance, in water, right? And the funding is not there. But yes, it can be done, right? If, like I keep on mentioning, the political will is there. You fund them, you invest in them, it takes some years, they keep on trying, and then the technology is there. Water is essential, right? Right now, we have a lot of pipe-borne diseases because a lot of people don't have clean drinking water. We're using borehole technology here, which is not what we should be doing. It's affecting, there'll be issues with hopefully we won't start having earthquakes here in the near future. But those are not the technologies you use in a nation this size, right? So the technologies are there, but it goes back to the same old thing. The funding for efficient and improved technology to build these things are not there. We have not invested. So that's not, we can't even start talking about R&D. Let the investments come first. That we have this amount of resources that we want to apply to, say, water development, technology in water. The institutes come up with the technology, the assembly plants are put in place to now manufacture the technology and deploy them nationwide. That's the process. We haven't even started that. So we are not producing those things. What we do is just buy from abroad, get the foreigners to come in here and do that. Push your engineers and everybody else aside, and they come and do it, or the Chinese, who do most of the projects in Nigeria now. So we have that problem. But it's a doable one if we trust our professionals. But right now, government isn't doing that. Even look at healthcare. There's a lot of development we could do that is needed in healthcare. We're not investing in healthcare. And for instance, none of the leaders use the healthcare here. They go abroad. So the doctors are also feeling as if they're inadequate. But if you start having your leaders using them here, the investments will be made here. The doctors will improve. More Nigerians will not want to travel abroad for healthcare. They'll be using the hospitals here because the government is driving it. They've sanctioned and endorsed the Nigerian healthcare. So it goes across. You see, the whole infrastructural deficiency is you have to place it at the doorstep of government. To move Nigeria from where we are to where we should be, which is like a second world country in infrastructural development, takes a lot of hard work. Right. It's not rhetoric. It takes a lot of hard work. You sit down, you plan well, you give back into the necessary groups and sectors that will drive this R&D to make sure Nigeria moves forward. I don't know how much government is investing in agriculture. I don't know how much they're investing in healthcare, education, in terms of how to improve processes, right? That we could do a bit of research on to get some information. But I consider it very low because in the sectors we operate in, that's hardly any investment. Everything is imported, right? We don't build anything here. Like I mentioned, turbines are not being built here. Cars are not, nothing is being built here really, right? So we haven't even started. So when you move into R&D, you are talking about improving on something that's already there. That's my point, right? So it has to start from there. Then we start working on, okay, government has put so much money into this university in improving technology for water. Okay, they've got to this stage. This is what it is. They have an assembly plant that is now going to produce it and supply all the local governments, the 774 local governments nationwide. And things are now improving. That's how you drive this thing, step by step, logically. Thank you.
All right. Now let's focus on core infrastructural issues now. One of the issues we have to talk about is the issue of building collapse in Nigeria. In recent times, the issue of building collapse has been of concern. Talk to us, what are the things responsible for building collapse in Nigeria and what can be done to checkmate this negative development?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question again. That is years of neglect in investing in the education sector, right? In the 50s and 60s, buildings were not collapsing in Nigeria. I can say this confidently, right? Up to even the 70s, they had a policy whereby, right, as you build, you get approvals for certain milestones, right, before you just continue to build high rises. In Ibadan, we had Cocoa House, which was one of the oldest buildings in Nigeria at the time, high rise. It's still standing today. What technology was used at the time to build it? We had some of the best engineers, some of the best structural engineers, architects, surveyors in those days, right? The lack of funding in universities is producing a poor quality graduates. Are you with me? So those that are supposed to ensure that those buildings don't collapse are not properly trained in the first place. We haven't started talking about the corruption part of it. We're just talking about the quality of person who is in charge right now. We are not producing well-trained engineers, architects, and what have you. So you're getting these problems. And it's going to continue unless we go back and invest properly, right, in education to ensure that what we are producing, the graduates that are coming out, are solid to stand the test of time.